other ways, of course, but I mean, physically, I think I might be otherwise disposed. That doesn't sound right, does it? Like they crumple you up like a piece of tissue paper and throw you out. Indisposed is what I meant to say. No, that doesn't sound right either. That means that they'd like to throw you out, but they can't figure out how. Otherwise engaged. No, that sounds like you're going to be married. That's not what I meant to say either. Otherwise employed somewhere else. I guess what I mean to say is, good luck and happy anniversary. So if you're wandering around Redmond, you're looking for a place to be, just pick one of the QFCs. There's a couple of them right near each other, so, if one don't do, you can pick the other. One of them is near SoulFood Books, and the other one isn't. So if you go to one and there's no SoulFood Books around, you know you're at the wrong one. Just ask them where the other one is. They'll send you over here. So just a little song to try to say that I sure am happy to be here today. Where the sound is fine and the coffee is swell, and the audience can lay around on the couch, sleep. And that's okay, and I try not to play songs that'll wake you up if you're asleep. And I try not to play songs that'll put you to sleep if you're awake. Try to kind of straddle that line between fully conscious and fully in dreamland. And the standing invitation is still there, like I said last time. Bill, you're on my guest list. Come on down.
Homens, gosto de tudo, dos morenos, dos mulatos, dos branquinhos, dos loirinhos e dos crioulos, porque só tem que ser homem. Tem homem corno, homem baixo, homem gordo, homem ingrato, safado, careca, cabeludo, viado, ousado, tem muito homem. Pois é, tem muito homem. Todo homem que se preza tem que impor respeito, saber ouvir falar, escutar, ter dinheiro, celular, ser bom de cama e te respeitar. E se o homem não tiver nenhuma dessas virtudes, saia de perto e tome uma atitude. Porque o verdadeiro homem, ele te ama, te trata com carinho, com respeito e amor, e vai te dar por toda a vida grandes felicidades, serão felizes. Esse é um homem de verdade, pois é. Homens, gosto de todo, dos morenos, dos mulatos, dos branquinhos, dos loirinhos e dos crioulos. Só tem que ser homem. Tem homem corno, homem baixo, homem gordo, homem ingrato, safado, careca, cabeludo, viado, ousado, tem muito homem. Pois é, tem muito homem. Todo homem que se preza tem que impor respeito, saber ouvir falar, escutar, ter dinheiro, celular, ser bom de cama e te respeitar. E se o homem não tiver nenhuma dessas virtudes, saia de perto e tome uma atitude. Porque o verdadeiro homem, ele te ama, te trata com carinho, com respeito e amor, e vai te dar por toda a vida grandes felicidades, serão felizes. Esse é o homem de verdade, esse é o homem de verdade. Pois é esse. Esse é o homem de verdade. Pois é. Tem muito homem pelas ruas, nos bares, à noite, de madrugada. Eu gosto de todos. Tem muito homem.
Radio Mano Papachango.
Permanece a la escucha. Permanece a la escucha.
got a mountain to climb before I get over this hill. I've got the world to unwind before I ever sit still. I've got a hard road to hoe before my seed is sown. I've got a long way to get before I get back home. I've got so much to put down before that's all she wrote, and I've got so much to give, for my heart ain't so broke. I've got to find myself, for I can never be alone. I've got a long way to get before I get back home.
Give me some Phantom if you got it there, Clint, for my DI. Yeah, for the DI. Yeah, there we go. Oh my God. I think so.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, here at SoulFood, we've had problems before on a full moon night. Everyone goes wild and don't really know what to do. So what we did was we brought two agents,
Oh, great.
two savage beasts on a full moon night. So let's welcome back to our stage.
I forgot it was a full moon. Oh, freight train going so fast. Freight train going so fast. Please don't tell the train I'm on, so they won't know where I've gone. When I die, bury me deep at the end of Chestnut Street, so I can see old number 9 as she goes rolling by. Now when I'm dead and in my grave, no more good times will I crave. Just place a stone in my head and feet till I'm all I'm gonna sleep. played that wrong. I'm going to play it right this time. Yeah, freight train, going so fast. Freight train, going so fast. Oh, please don't tell the train I'm on, so they won't know where I've gone. Changing trains now. They're working on the tracks. So freight train, going so fast. Freight train, going so fast. Oh, please don't tell what train I'm on, so they won't know where I've gone. Oh, please don't tell what train I'm on, so they won't know where I've gone. Thank you. You got to come back from a full moon somehow, you know. This is a good way to come back. Or to fly around in a full moon. True story. Walter Torres was a pool player. Best I ever seen. He was an 8-ball magician. With his eye on the green, he could make $500. In a one night's go around, there was a lot of empty pockets when Walter came to town. He could cue his way from Frisco Bay all the way to Maine. Every side pocket corner town was spotted for his game. He must have come from somewhere, but just where I never knew. I met him in Seattle on First Avenue. He was 2/3 drunk and drinking to make his other third when I sat me down beside him. To hear what could be heard, he was losing to his limit, and his limit, it was clean, $20 worth of quarters in a gambling machine. And the more he lost, the more he laughed and drained the drafty beers as he fed his final quarter and watched it disappear. And when a girl came up and won it all with just a single try, well, he laughed so hard till his eye began to cry. Then he said, "These metal bandits ain't my cup of gruel." And I says, "What's your real game?" And he says, "Playing pool." Why, only just the other night, he had 'em on their toes, winning everybody's money up at Smokey Joe's. He said he was a shark of such dangerous degrees, he could hustle up a bundle nearly any place he played. He'd won more fortunes than the Rockefeller clan. Not bad for just an indigent with chalk dust on his hands. Well, I listened to his talking, just the way that you would do. Then I said, "All right, if you're so good, I'll see you to the queue." He laughed at me so hard, I thought he'd surely come to harm. Then he said, "All right, I'll play it, but I'll only use one arm." I racked him up and broke him, and I even sunk a few, until one arm Walter took his stance and loaded up his cue. And with a blinding combination, cleared the table all and over. Then he laughed again and grinned, said, "I play better when I'm sober." We wandered off, in and out, and squandered through the night. until I got lost and he got taken off to see the sights, and I wound up in a strange one with a head to make you wince. But wherever it was where he was, I ain't never seen him since. Yes, Walter was a pool player. Everybody knows he could rack a man to tack him. He could sink him with his eyes closed. I may not know much of nothing. I ain't got the cure, but Walter Tortoise was a pool player. I know that for sure. Thank you. Friday night, I got to remind myself. Usually I play here like on a Thursday or something, you know, or a Wednesday. And this is the Friday. Check my tuning. This is written by a friend of mine, a Vietnam Navy veteran named Jim Hind. Jim passed away a couple of years back. When they come to your school and they want to recruit, ask them some questions. This is Jim's story. Well, I was 18 and change when the telephone rang, calling me to report to the sea. Vietnam War raged on every front page of the country. So I sailed to the war of a faraway shore, with boys no wiser than I, too young to vote, hoping too young to die. Serving time for the crime of being born American male, where sons become brothers in arms or brothers in jail. Well, perhaps it was love or self-prescribed drugs, or the limbo of lost out at sea, sailing that line beyond reason and rhyme. Frank, Dennis, and me. Oh, I recall the resorts and all the opium ports, but truth shines later in life. For the plight of the pawn, it pales in the light of the king. How convenient is a God who would spare not the rod and send his only child to die, when in the hands of a power intent on only saving a life. I turned 21 years old, coming home from the South China Sea, slapping paint on the rust of the sinking American dream. And did the home fires burn for the hero's return? Or was the red carpet rolled to the sea? Where was the parade when democracy was saved by Frank, Dennis, and me?
I can see in my son where he'd have marched to the gun, how his soul would have withered and died. I know how that goes. Far too long it's been happening to mine. May the damage done me by the powers that be never be done unto mine. And may the criminals and foes be exposed by history and time. For Dennis and I swore that the Vietnam War will have ended at the moment when honor prevails with justice demanded. As the names on the wall of the Washington Mall await the dead to return from the sea, those veterans still dying a day at a time with Frank, Dennis, and me. And I swore that the Vietnam War will have ended at the moment when honor prevails with justice demanded. And as the names on the wall of the Washington Mall await the dead to return from the sea, those veterans still dying a day at a time with Frank, Dennis, and me. Thank you. Coffee makes you thirsty. Well, I'll tell you a story, my friend, from the Vietnam days way back when. Body counts mountain on the wall. You had to do something about it all. That's when the singer took a trip up to Washington State. It was a good day to travel on the interstate. Two hitchhikers, all of 19, traveling real light with their heads shaved clean. The singer picked him up. He had room in the car. He says, "I'll take you where you're going if it's not too far. We're going up to Canada," they said, it kind of slow. Seems like the place to go. Now you can trust a stranger if you give him a chance, and there's a million stories in his sideways lands. The singer knew he had a long-range view. "I'm only going to Seattle," he said, "but I'll see what I can do." Now the interstate's a long, straight, blacktop line. You can do a lot of thinking all the time, unwind. Leaving California for the evergreen land. Pretty soon the singer had a plan. Stopping for supplies like anybody might do. Get a map and a compass and a flashlight too. Canteens for water, fooding up the last, going on to Seattle. But they drive right past. Almost to the border, take the side road to the hill. Here's your map and your compass and a $20 bill. Canada's that way, it's a straight shot. Good luck and goodbye, don't get caught. And then the singer drove away in a darkening breeze, and two shadows disappeared in the evergreen trees. And that's a measure of a war. Try to tip the balance just a little bit more. Yep. I was there when the singer came in late, muttering something about the interstate. The songs were good and the music was fine, and that's what kept us going most of the time. And that's the end of my story, my friend, from the Vietnam days way back when, about a singer on the road and the AWOL kid, how you had to do something, and that's what they did. Thank you. Funny how life goes. Just when you think you know, well, it'll hit you so sudden, you never even see the blow. And all the things you've been missing, they come to crowd around. The way the shadows get longer, but when the sun goes down, and it's only one drop of water in a clear blue sky, but it's enough to say goodbye. On the sidewalk singing, you hear the cowboy song. See the old road traveler passing, looking for a place to belong. You see the bird doing aerial dance, you see the wing in the sunlight glisten. Music everywhere, everywhere, if you know how to listen. And it's only one drop of water in a clear blue sky, but it's enough to say goodbye. We're more than we appear. All of that life, all of those years, standing on a beachhead where the land and the water part, and all that really matters is what you hold in your heart, a friend of mine. How can I say when your last great breath of life took my words away? Laughing 'cause we have to, laughing in the face of it all. Somewhere forever on the other side of that wall. And it's only one drop of water in a clear blue sky, but it's enough to say goodbye. And it's only one drop of water in a clear blue sky, but it's enough to say goodbye. Thank you. It had its moments. I recommend that whatever this was that he made me. It's a something. It's got chocolate, I think, in it. It's got a kick to it. And this is a Willie McTell song. Blind Willie McTell. I got new strings. They're always a problem. Whoops, this is a great song. Wake up, mama, don't you sleep so hard. Wake up, mama, don't you sleep so hard. Don't you hear these blues walking all over your yard? I got these blues, I'm not satisfied. I got these blues all right, I'm not satisfied. That's the reason why I stole away and I cried. Blues grabbed me at midnight, wouldn't turn me loose till day. Grabbed me at midnight, wouldn't turn me loose till day. I didn't have nobody drive these blues away. Big star falling, Mom ain't long before day. Big star falling, ain't long before day. Maybe the sunshine this time drive the blues away. Thanks. And this is the song I wrote called Gasworks Park. A friend of mine, a personal friend of mine, is one of the architects who designed Gasworks Park. And I think that would be a feather in your cap, you know. Early in the evening, we go walking in the park in the evening, do a little talking in the dark of the evening, just she and me. See the way the moon flies, like a kite up in the night skies, shine upon the gasworks park by the Union Sea. Oh, there's a sign in the water, says don't go in the water. There's something in the water that they don't want you to get on your skin. Oh, but the lights of the city, they make it look so pretty. And one of these days we're gonna leave the city behind. And there is little to be what it appears to be. It's an illusory situation. You can do anything, be anyone, and get your mind undone. It's a simple equation, and it's a tiny spark in the gasworks park. Oh, in the town that I was born in, well, they got up every morning and went to work and came home in the evening. It was always the same. I could have followed in the footsteps, don't know why I didn't, but something in my thinking wouldn't allow me to jump on that train. And there is little to be what it appears to be. It's an illusory situation. You can do anything, be anyone, get your mind undone. It's a simple equation, and it's a tiny spark in the gasworks park. So early in the evening, we go walking in the park in the evening, do a little talking in the dark of the evening, just she and me. Thank you. I just got a book out of the library called Securing the Spectacular City. I've been looking forward to reading it for quite a while now. It came out in 2006. It's a story about Seattle in the last 20 years. Securing the Spectacular City. All about sanitizing the downtown core, homelessness, and the rise of all the multi-billionaires that live down there. The song was written in the wintertime, a couple of years back, after spending a couple of days hanging around Nicholsville, Seattle. You know what that is. Too cold for rainbows, too cold for sun, too cold for downpours, but we gonna get one. You better run for cover, rally around that flag. Ain't got a raincoat, I got a plastic bag. Come sit down by the fire. It'll do you some good. We're gonna keep it going long as we got firewood. Too cold to sit down, too cold to stand, too cold to say hello, but I can shake your hand. This is where we live now. So come on in. As long as you ain't looking for trouble, you're welcome, friend. Pull a sleeping bag over. Batten it down. Try to keep it level so you don't roll out on the ground. Living in America, in tent city. 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 Yeah, too cold to be living in tents, too cold to camp. Try to stay dry, everything gets damp. Too cold to be living outside, you can tell it to the cops. Ain't got no other place to go, and the weather won't stop. Take a letter to the mayor, deliver it for me. Tell him we'd all like to see him down here, keeping good company. Yeah, it's too cold, but what you gonna do? Gotta live somewhere, and you know it's true. I can't pay the mortgage, I can't afford the rent. After food and bus fare, my money's just about all spent. Take a message to the man, whisper it in his ear. Tell him until we see some changes, we're gonna stay right here. Living in America, in tent city, Sacramento. Living in America, in tent city, Dignity Village. Living in America, in tent city, Nicholsville. Living in America, in tent city, all over the place. Thanks. I got to play this song now. Before I left home, I was watching I go to the library. I do. I got a video out of the library called, I'd heard about it
called, maybe you've heard of it too, Taxi to the Dark Side. Have you heard about Taxi to the Dark Side? Yeah. It focuses on the case of an Afghani taxi driver, young fellow who disappeared. He was taken by Afghani security forces, and he was basically sold to the Americans. I mean, the Americans put bounties out for terrorists or suspected terrorists, and so a lot of people were lifted up and put in there for money, and he was lifted up and put in there for money, and they killed him inside. It was listed on the death certificate, signed by the officer in charge, cause of death, homicide, in an American prison in Afghanistan. You know, it's one of those things that you trace back to Donald Rumsfeld and Dick Cheney and George Bush, and they're all in there. This is like, I don't know when it was, 2006 or something. You know, it wasn't all that long after Abu Ghraib that stuff came out. And that's the reason I want to sing this song, because this song is about Abu Ghraib. And it's not a particularly comfortable song, but then I think we need to look at these things, whether we like them or not. So, I wrote this song. It's called Something About Us, and I wrote it for a whole bunch of reasons. First of all, when those pictures came out, everybody was horrified. I was horrified. Everybody was pissed off. I was pissed off. And then I started to feel like something was wrong, but I couldn't put my finger on it. Something was wrong, but I couldn't put my finger on it. And then one night, I was watching TV, PBS, and they had some film. You know, they'd send us some camera people over to Baghdad. And they were riding along in the Humvee with the soldiers and their officer in charge, whoever that was. And they're going through. And at one point, the officer in charge says it was nighttime. And they're going through, some part of Baghdad. And the officer says, "Okay, now, everybody, pay attention. This is Indian country." That's what he said. This is Indian country. And all of a sudden, I realized what was bothering me. So I wrote this. I saw the pictures from the prison in Iraq. The man on the box with his hands on the wires and his head in a sack. The man in the hallway with his neck tied to a leash line. The cigarette grins of the soldiers giving up the high sign. Well, I wish I could believe it when they said it was an aberration. Just a few bad apples in an otherwise smooth operation. But there's just too many cracks in that tired old ruse. And now everybody gets to see Uncle Sam's got blood all over his brand new shoes. His brand new shoes, and there's something about us that we don't want to have to face. And there's a killer instinct deep in this American race. And just ask anyone who's been on the other end of that leash. Selective memory loss is like a panacea. Big city cops took an immigrant man named Abner Louima, and they brought him downtown and they sodomized him with a toilet plunger. Never would have known, but somebody talked, and the story came out from under. Now I know what you're thinking. Cops ain't soldiers, but sometimes the line gets blurred, and they've been scratching each other's back for a while now, I've heard. And then the war around the world, you know that there's a war at home. And they will do whatever they want to you, and they get you alone. Get you alone, and there's something about us that we don't want to have to face. And there's a killer instinct deep in this American race. And just ask anyone who's been on the other end of that leash. You want to really understand it, you gotta go back a ways. Back to the founding mythologies of what they call the good old days. The Indian wars in the Wild West, and guns in everybody's hand. The violence was good then, it gave us a motherland. And sometimes things got out of control, and they crossed that unspeakable line.
cutting off body parts and wearing them around. I guess soldiers just do that sometimes. Well, use your imagination. You know that they were feeling good. You know they would have taken pictures if they could. And there's something about us that we don't want to have to face. And there's a killer instinct deep in this American race. Just ask anyone who's been on the other end of that leash, and they'll tell you. We got 2 million people in prison right now. We're gonna have more, and I shudder to think about what I've heard goes on behind those doors. It's just the worst kind of sex and violence, and we know that's a fact. And nobody cares about it too much until it shows up in Iraq, and I guess that's the problem. We don't seem to be able to make a connection. We think we're some kind of chosen people, waiting for a resurrection, but our Savior is a con man, and he's looking up for number one. They'll give you $24 worth of junk jewelry and take it back at the point of a gun. At the point of a gun, and there's something about us that we don't want to have to face. And there's a killer instinct deep in this American race. And just ask anyone who's been on the other end of that leash. They'll tell you. There's something about us that we don't want to have to face. And there's a killer instinct deep in this American race. And just ask anyone who's been on the other end of that leash. They'll tell you. 'Cause there's something about us. Well, I want a new America. This stuff's getting old. I'm tired of being hungry, and I'm tired of being cold. I'm tired of getting lied to. Every time I turn around, I want a new America, or this one's coming down. I want a new America. Yes, you heard me right. It's been so dark, so long, I can't remember what it's like. We've been leaving bloody fingerprints everywhere we go. I want a new America, or something's gonna blow. Yes, it's a good idea. Yes, it can be true. I want a new America, and I think you do too. Yes, the change is coming. I can feel it in the wind. I want a new America. It's coming round, Ben. It's coming round. It's coming round, Ben. Well, I want a new America, one where I can be proud, where I can hold my head up and I can say it right out loud. I'm tired of making excuses for every mess we make. I want a new America, or something's gonna break. I want a new America. We can be better than this. We can learn to shake hands instead of always making a fist. Goodbye to playground bullies. Goodbye to guns and drums. I want a new America. The time has come. Yes, it's a good idea. Yes, it can be true. I want a new America, and I think you do too. Yes, the change is coming. I can feel it in the wind. I want a new America. It's coming round, Ben. It's coming round. It's coming round, Ben. That's right.
I'm sorry about that. I was warned about that. It's down here. I didn't think I was going to bother it because I just touched it up here, but I guess it transferred the shock. This is my hat. This is my supplemental income package. Well, I'll just put down there on the edge of the stage. You know what I'm saying? Okay, what shall I play? Could I get some more water? Oh, thank you. I think it's that full moon. Oh, wonderful. Thank you. Hello. Arrowhead, thanks. I'm hydrating now. Well, thank you. I'd like that. I'd like that a lot. You got to put new strings on, but you know, they're just a pain in the ass for about 2 days. Because all they do is go out of tune. They have way too many overtones. I have a number of guitars. I always prided myself in never having any more guitars than I could play at one time, which means one, right? So I never had any more than one guitar. And then, you know, people said that wouldn't last, and it didn't last. And, you know, you wind up with, I've got like 5 guitars. It's not a lot. I know people have like 30 of them. You know, I have a friend of mine, the guy that I'm singing a song about a guitar now, okay? And the person that gave me that guitar had 75 guitars. He was buying and selling off of eBay. He loved, and so do I. It's like, it's kind of a generational thing, I think. If you play acoustic guitar and you're from my generation, you like and you understand old Gibsons and Epiphones. They're a particular thing. Martins are cool. This is a Martin. Don't get me wrong. I love it. This is my main guitar. But when you're talking old guitars, the mind just kind of goes to Gibsons and Epiphones. My mind does, anyway. Old J45s and J50s and things. Man, those things are just like, I mean, they were different every year, you know, and they're just like, they're made like old violins or something, or mandolins or something. They're just amazing things. Anyway, my buddy Chris Ramey, who he and I and Michael O'Connelly and Billy Dean Andres and Pat Simmons of the Doobie Brothers used to hang out at this little scene down there in California, Los Gatos, Saratoga, the wine cellar and places like that. You know, and we would bump into each other and do forgettable things together and all that kind of stuff, and learn each other's repertoires. I stole all of their repertoires before they even got to know me. I was just this kid with glasses that would show up every night and sit in the front row of their gigs, and then, you know, they'd come and see me. They'd accidentally be in the bar I was playing in or something, and I would be playing one of their songs exactly the way that they did it, because I'd stolen it from them, that sort of thing. Anyway, we all became friends, and Chris Ramey, he was a big fellow, like 6'2", right? He was 2 years older than me. Went to my high school, but didn't graduate. You know, he was just a little bit too wild. I couldn't keep him home. He'd be running around all the time and running away from home. And his parents moved to Japan and brought him along. And, you know, his father was like a 5-language simultaneous interpreter or something like that. And Ramey was, he got to be a star in Japan. He was big in Japan, like the song says, you know, for about a year maybe, you know, because he was a 6'2" American that played guitar and sang, and he had this great voice and everything, and so they put him on stage. And then he came back home right in the middle of the 60s, like 1965 or something, and fell right into the waiting arms of the merry pranksters out there in the hills above La Honda. And that was the end of Ramey's, you know, grasp on reality. So anyway, one thing leads to another in life, and he ran into some money, I think because his father died and left him an inheritance or something. He started wheeling and dealing in guitars. And that's how he wound up with 75 guitars, most of them Gibsons and Epiphones. I think he had one Martin in there, one. And it was an old thing from World War II that had all these autographs on it. And the story was that it was a soldier, an American soldier, that had this guitar and brought it with him. And every town they went through, he had it autographed by somebody in that town. That was the story that Ramey figured out somehow, or someone had told him or something. But Anyway, he and I used to play Epiphones in the old days, and Epiphone is a great guitar. And for a while there, they were made by Gibson, so it was basically a Gibson J45. And so I told him one day, I said, you know, well, I won't tell you the story. I'll just sing you the story because he gave it to me. I've got a 1965 Sunburst Epiphone Texan sitting at home. And this is a song about that guitar and Chris Ramey. Chris Ramey gave me this guitar. We'd been friends for years and we came this far, living in a world of folk clubs and bars, songs for every season, and we sang them on the steel string guitar. Chris Ramey was a big man, and he sang a big song, and in my younger days I tagged along. He had a big life, he lived it right out loud, head and shoulders over everybody else in the crowd. He rode with the pranksters, he knew Neil Cassidy too, Janis Joplin lit a candle for him in an almost rendezvous, Jesse Fuller, Margot St. James, everybody knew Chris Ramey, and he knew them all the same, all the same. He could drink you under the table, he could trip you over the moon, he could tell more tales than a carny barker on a Saturday afternoon. He had a heart of gold, he was golden to the core. He'd give her the shirt off his back, and if he needed a bed, he'd sleep on the floor. Now I lost track of Ramey, he lost track of me. Then I heard he was selling cars down in the valley. His guitar was in the closet, strings were old and dead, but he still had all those songs in his head. In his head. I said, hey, Chris, I don't know about these cars, but guitar strings call for fingers, and your fingers need guitars. And these kids out there nowadays, they seem so young, they need a master like you to show them how it's done, how it's done. That's right. Yep. He's a little rusty at first, then the rust was dusted off, the magic came alive, and the songs woke up like a sleeper on the rebound from a long tangential dream. Chris Ramey was back on the scene, on the scene. He got himself a good set of wheels in that used car lot. He put a PA in the trunk and he went out gigging while the gigging was hot. He got a brand new repertoire, a fine side to see, and with his harmonica buddy Jimmy Durance, he made his first CD. Yes, he did. And the music was alive. He was living in the zone, and he loved those old Gibsons and Epiphones. He knew I did too. It was almost biology, so whenever he found a good one, he'd show it to me. He'd show it to me. Life catches up with you, no matter how fast you drive, and they say that nobody gets out of here alive. The songs to come and singing with, songs to fly away, and you knew we'd have to sing one of those other ones someday, someday. Chris Ramey gave me this guitar. When he knew the time was near, he said, go pick the one that speaks to you, Jim, and get it out of here. So I took this old slope shoulder with a sunburst top. It made bells beneath my fingers, and it would not let me stop, let me stop. So sing a song for laughter, sing a song for tears, sing a song for old friends who've known you all these years. Sing a song for leaving, another one for when you're gone. For life is just a melody waiting for a song, for a song.
This is being streamed on the internet. Isn't that funny how the words for water have turned into the words for electricity? And yet if you're standing in water and you put your hands on an outlet, you electrocute yourself. Are we electrocuting ourselves? Anyway, there's a good chance, or a chance anyway, that somebody in Taiwan might be watching this. So if there isn't anybody in Taiwan watching this, this is for you, because in Taiwan is a little town called Menong. And I played there. And Menong is in the Valley of the Butterfly. Menong got famous because, well, the government was going to build a dam there that would flood the whole valley. And Menong would have been lost. But local artists, singers, poets, got themselves together and they started a national campaign of awareness. And they saved Menong. And they saved the valley. And one of those poets is a man named Young Feng. And I've been on stage with Young Feng. So if he's out there watching this, this is for you. You may know, in the Valley of the Butterfly, time doesn't go very fast. Things just seem to last. You may know, I saw a butterfly dance like a butterfly does. It made me think about how clumsy I was. You may know, I saw a man on a bicycle balancing a load of wood. His balance was that good. You may know, I saw a family of 5 on a motor scooter and going out for a drive. You may know, you may know. And it's a big around world. Yes, it is all around the world. It's a big around world. Yes, it is all around the world. You may know, there was a temple on the hillside. I prayed to the Buddha for the flower to open up wide. You may know, I drank the good strong ginger tea, and it agreed with me. You may know, everything grew, tomato and the pepper and the beetle nut too. You may know, I ate the green grass, the fish and the squid, and everybody else did too. You may know, you may know. And it's a big around world. Yes, it is all around the world. It's a big around world. Yes, it is all around the world. You may know, there was a melon so sweet, juicy on my sweater, and something like an apple, only better. May know, the sun flew by on a butterfly breeze, a ricochet wing way up in the trees. And may know, my spirit got lighter and my head got clear, and I thought to myself, I'm gonna stay right here. And may know, and may know. And it's a big around world. Yes, it is all around the world. It's a big around world. Yes, it is all around the world. You may know, all around the circle eternity flows, but after a while you gotta go, I suppose. You may know, Everybody's got a home and I got mine. Don't say goodbye, say see you next time I'm in home. I'm in home. And it's a big around world. Yes, it is all around the world. It's a big around world. Yes, it is all around the world. And it's a big around world. Yes, it is all around the world. It's a big around world. Yes, it is all around the world.
Thank you. I did a gig there in a little, thanks. In Taipei, I played a little student bar or intellectuals bar or something called the Paris Commune, and they had a guillotine over up against the wall. There was an ornamental guillotine about 6 feet tall or something, because I guess, I don't know why exactly, but they had it there. There's another song from that trip. The character in this song is named Youngerman. Youngerman was a farmer. He was a rice farmer. Young man, he was 25 years old. He came from a family of rice farmers down the countryside. WTO came along, you know, the World Trade Organization, and turned everybody's economics upside down. So people in Taiwan were buying rice from Japan because it was cheaper. So Youngerman, being 25 years old, thought he would take matters into his own hands, which he did. Youngerman was raised on a family farm, with a love of the land in the morning and the muscle in his arm. Out on the China Ocean, on the island of Taiwan, it's a story worth the telling, and I'll sing it in a song. Family farm is the rock of humanity's anchor. In the 21st century world war between the farmer and the banker, great corporate bullies ride on the money train. Farmer stands to lose, the corporation stand to gain. Youngerman saw the danger coming from a dark and angry place, and he thought of all the farmers whose lives had been displaced, and he made calls and he wrote letters. Oh, but what good did it do? Corporations never read them, nor the politicians too. Youngerman went walking one night. The moon was like a lantern, the stars are shining bright. There came a voice a-calling so clearly in his head. Maybe it was the ancestors. This is what it said. When God closes the door, he opens the window. When God closes the door, he opens the window. Youngerman the farmer, he made a paper box, and he folded in the corners, and he weighted it with rocks, with a little black powder and a little bit of rice. Warnings on the label, words of advice. Dangers of the paper box and writing bright and bold. Do not buy imported rice, our future can't be sold. Support the local farmers, resist the foreign trade, and he placed them in the cities where his point would sure be made. And he put them at the banks and down at the railway station. Little paper boxes with their little explanations. At the government buildings, they put the bomb squad on alert, but they were only made of paper, no one ever got hurt. They called him the rice bomber, and they made a great campaign. They said he was a terrorist, and they vilified his name. Oh, but in the farming countries, when these matters were discussed, they would tip their hats and smile and say, he's one of us. When God closes the door, he opens the window. When God
closes the door, he opens the window. 17 paper rice bombs, 17 times. Everyone a statement, though they call them it's a crime. And though they scoured through the countryside, they did not have a clue. The young Grumman decided then just what he would do. He went down to the city to give himself away. He said, I am the one you're looking for, this is your lucky day. My name is Young Grumman, he said, and he took a little bow. I did that for the farmers, like I do this for them now. Well, if you did that for the farmers, that's just what you say. Well, we have you in our custody, and that's where you're gonna stay. And justice was a stone wall, it never shed a tear. They tried and convicted, and they gave him 7 years. 7 years for 17 little boxes of rice. What kind of mathematics could arrive at such a price? It's the kind of mathematics turns the world upside down, and it's up to us to turn it back around. When God closes the door, he opens the window. When God closes the door, he opens the window. Family farm is still the rock that holds humanity's anchor. In the 21st century world war between the farmer and the banker, one side has the money and the other has the plow, and it's anybody's guess what happens now. I went to visit young Grumman. They had him in Taipei. He was in the detention center. It was on a visiting day. I didn't speak his language, and he didn't speak mine. There was plexiglass between us, and we didn't have much time. He said, you have to hold your vision, and you have to hold on tight. Take pride in your accomplishments, and don't give up the fight. Oh, and when the time was over, and they led him away, he put his fist up in the air, and I can still hear him say, when God closes the door, he opens the window. When God closes the door, he opens the window. When God closes the door, he opens the window. When God closes the door, he opens the window. I'm mixing my waters now. Oh, yeah, that's what I was going to do. This song came out of two different instances. I used to live up on Whidbey Island. I still have a lot of friends up there, and I go up from time to time. And I was up there, and friends of mine told me about somebody's teenage son who had just gotten busted for some sort of criminal activity. The other thing was going to the Dick's Drive-In on 45th Street in Wallingford on a Saturday night. And there were 2 police cars there. Big crowd of teenagers and 2 police cars. And I went up and I got my Dick's Deluxe, and I asked the guy behind the counter, and says, there's 2 police cars there. What are they doing? He just smiled and said, this is the country we live in. Now, it's fun to be a gangster when you're a kid. You just think about what Al Capone did. With all that fast life, guns, and money. Shooting people down because they look at you funny. Like a big shot way high up on a stump. can snap your fingers and make everybody jump. It's a power dream sometimes comes true. Till you meet somebody who's got more power than you do. And it feels good to be bad. And it's a right to be wrong. And a 6-month sentence don't seem so long. Now it's a hard world, concrete and steel. And it's hard to know just how you feel. Whenever you're the hero on the movie screen, there's an action man with a killing machine. You see the mighty muscles flex and flaunt. Seems like they get almost anything they want. Politicians in plain criminal view. And if they can do it, well, why not you? And it feels good to be bad. And it's right to be wrong. And an 18-month sentence don't seem so long. Now it's a childhood world of walled-off yards, metal detectors and armed guards, cops patrolling the hamburger stand. Seems like almost everybody's got a gun in their hand. Now you come rolling up in your rap machine, adrenaline pumping the excitable scene. You can feel the action, you're catching buzz. You gotta make your move before somebody else does. Yeah, and it feels good to be bad, and it's right to be wrong, and a 5-year sentence don't seem so long. Now you get caught strutting down that criminal line. Yeah, they're gonna put you away for a long time. Now what, you wanna go and let them lock you down? You know it's the biggest business around. They don't care about how you rehabilitate. You're just a cash flow like a real estate. 3 strikes and you're out, that's what they say. Somebody gonna get rich while you wither away. And it feels good to be bad, and it's right to be wrong. And a 20-year sentence don't seem so long. Now when I was a kid, I was real dumb. I had no idea how a puppet got strung. I thought I had my own point to prove. I didn't notice somebody else was making me move. Now after all those years apart, now it's time for the puppet to start to get smart. So put down that pipe and pick up your brain. We're gonna have to reinvent the rules to this tired old game, because it feels good to be bad when it's right to be wrong, and a life sentence don't seem so long. Thank you. That's my little supplemental tip hat down there. I got CDs too. Some of these songs are on some of those things, and some of them aren't. I'll have to just ask and find out. it's the wind moving through the trees. Temperature drops to a cold snap blow. You left your sweater on my bedside. I hope it's warm when you decided to go. Thinking about how I never told you. I guess I didn't really know it myself. I spent my whole life looking. I was looking for somebody else. You hold the key to the window of my soul, and there's a wind outside. I hope it's warm when you decided to go, 'cause it's cold in here, and the window's open wide. I'm gonna lay my money up. I'm gonna put it in trust for a sunshiny day. I'm gonna levitate you off of your feet. Let the warm winds blow our blues away. Everybody's got an outside, and everybody's got an inside too. The only trick that you have to learn is who to show it to. You hold the key to the window of my soul, and there's a wind outside. I hope it's warm when you decided to go, 'cause it's cold in here, and the window's open wide. Thank you. Usually I just keep playing straight through till 10 o'clock. Is that okay? If I do that, because if I take a break, it's like, you know, you sit down, then you want to get back. I like to just kind of keep going. Is that okay? I wrote the song in Denver in 1979. It's the story of Anime Aquash. And that story has become a bit more interesting, complicated, convoluted, and revelatory in the last few years. But I don't need to go into that. Just to say that Anime was Micmac from Nova Scotia country. And she came down to America along about 72. And she went to Boston first. And she wound up being involved in the American Indian movement, which was new at the time. New-ish. They'd made a splash at Alcatraz in 69 and kind of went out to the Midwest and started doing a lot of organizing around the Twin Cities and Pine Ridge and places like that. And she joined up with them because they were trying to get the federal government to stand up to its treaty obligations and that sort of thing. And that's not easy to do. This country wasn't built in a day, and it certainly wasn't built on living up to treaty obligations, as you probably know. So that was kind of hard, but that's what they were trying to do. And a lot of activity centered around Pine Ridge in South Dakota, which is Lakota country. And there was a very corrupt tribal government. I was taking all the federally allocated funds and putting them in their own pockets, giving to their friends and relatives. And people were driving around in big fat cars and living high on the hog. And old people were eating dog food and living in uninsulated houses in a place where it gets routinely 40 below zero in the wintertime. Routinely. Water freezes inside the houses. And these clowns are taking all the money from the government, putting it in their pockets. So it was ugly. And certain factions of AIM, certain parts of AIM were out there trying to run candidates for tribal office and change things. And things got real ugly. There were drive-by shootings and stuff to kind of keep the lid on things. And Anime was in the middle of all this stuff. She was there. And she was what was also going on at the time was a climate of fear where doubts and innuendos are flying around, doing what they call bad jacketing. Bad jacketing is a technique that the FBI uses. They used during the COINTELPRO days. We don't do that sort of thing anymore, right? Bad jacketing means I say that he's a cop. He comes to my gigs, and he's a cop, okay? I just start spreading those rumors, and he doesn't even know about it. People talk about it, and the rumor goes around, and people think he's a cop. He doesn't even know about it. He's been bad jacketed. So Anna Mae was bad jacketed. And then she was killed. And I won't go into the rest of it because it's kind of weirdly complicated and all that kind of stuff, but just know that much. And I wrote this in Denver in 79. She was killed in 75. And it's written to the tune of an old bluegrass song called Two Sisters. And I just kind of changed it around a little bit and added a musical bridge. And so it goes like this. Anna Mae came to the plains, I'm told, blow to cold to blow. From way up east to where the weather gets cold and the cold winds they blow. And she said, I hear there's been trouble down here, blow to cold to blow. Trouble, we've been getting trouble every year, and the cold winds they blow. Anna Mae made a vow by the fire that night, blow to cold to blow. She would give her life to the people's fight in the cold winds they blow. And then the voice in the whispering of wind did say, blow to blow. Somebody's gonna get hurt someday, and the cold winds they blow. In 1972, blow to blow. Trouble in the Pine Ridge settlement grew, and the cold winds they blow. And in 1973, blow to blow. The trouble exploded a wounded knee, and the cold winds they blow. And in 1974, blow to blow. There was a backlash beating at everybody's door, and the cold winds they blow. And then the warning passed from tongue to tongue, blow to blow. That there was trouble a-coming with the federal gun, and the cold winds they blow. Oh, they took Anna Mae out the jail one day, blow to blow. But just exactly why they never would say, but the cold winds they blow. Oh, they wanted some facts and they wanted some names, blow to blow. Oh, but Anna Mae wouldn't tell them a thing, but the cold winds they blow. She said, you can kill me dead or you can lock me away, blow to blow. 'Cause that's what you're gonna be doing anyway, and the cold winds they blow. And they said, alright, you're free to go, blow to blow. But just don't say we never warned you so, and the cold winds they blow. Anna Mae went up for a walk one night, blow to blow. But she never lived to see the morning light, and the cold winds they blow. Oh, it's a mystery, I heard it say, blow to blow. How Anna Mae died with the bullet in her head, and the cold winds they blow. story spread both far and wide, blow to coat to blow. How another daughter of the people had died in the cold Dakota Wednesday blow. And the people came from many a mile, blow to coat to blow, to lay her away in traditional style while the cold Dakota winds blow. And the song upon the drum was sung, blow to coat to blow. And the sky covered over and the storm did come with the cold Dakota winds that blow. And the voice and the howling of winds did say, blow Dakota blow. Somebody's gonna pay someday for the cold Dakota winds that blow. True story. Now you might think as you start to listen to this story, oh Jesus, another one of those depressing everybody dies songs. What's the matter with this guy? But the song is in 4 parts. 3 verses, 2 verses, 2 verses, and 1 verse. The first 3 verses, they set up the American side. Then the 2 verses after that set up the Irish side. And then the following 2 verses, you begin to think, oh, this is kind of cool. It's a good story. All good friends of mine are the heroes and survivors of a terrible time. 2 great peoples, separated by the sea, joined in understanding of a great calamity. Oh, a great calamity. 1831, it was the darkest of their years. Andrew Jackson drove the Choctaw on the Trail of Tears with the saber and the rifle on a 1,000-mile drive to the land of Oklahoma. Only half would survive. Only half would survive. They called it reservation. It was a cage without a wire. But 100 years later, the Germans would admire, surrounded by a state that held the lock and key to the vision of their future and their free humanity. Oh, the free humanity. Half a world away, in the emerald Irish land, famine stalked the countryside with doom on every hand. Starvation, desperation, driven to extremes, they died eating grass, their mouths stained with green. Oh, their mouths stained with green. And it was the British Empire that held the lock and key to their island reservation and their free humanity across the hungry countryside. And they walked the Trail of Tears through death and emigration. Half the people disappeared. Half the people disappeared. News travels fast when it goes from hand to hand all across the mighty ocean to the Oklahoma land. And when the Choctaw heard the story of the Irish and their plight, they knew they were related, though their skins were red and white. Though their skins were red and white. and their lands were nearly bare. They collected all the money that they thought that they could spare, and they sent it off to Ireland to their unknown new friends. $700, it was a fortune to them then. It was a fortune to them then. Now you may wonder at my story, you may marvel at its worth, but I tell you there is goodness in the people of the earth, and I tell you there is beauty in the darkest of the days, and a light to come shining, blow the darkness all away, blow the darkness all away. A song about Rachel Corrie, taken from her letters that she wrote home to her parents. See if I can make this stand a little bit more steady. There we go. I'm assuming that everybody knows who Rachel Corrie was. Rachel Corrie was an Evergreen student, Evergreen College in Olympia. She went to Palestine. Her parents were very progressive, forward-thinking political people, and she was raised that way. And she began to be consumed in her thinking by what was happening over there to those people. And she joined up with the International Solidarity Movement, and she went to Rafah. And she stood with a bright orange vest and a bullhorn, and she stood in front of a bulldozer, a militarized, they're made by Caterpillar tractor. Look for them. Go on the web and look for militarized Caterpillar tractor Israel, something like that. Okay, and you see a picture of these things. They're as big as this building. Okay, it's not an ordinary Caterpillar tractor. They're militarized, and they're designed specifically to knock down people's houses. And the people don't like it. They throw stones. They don't have it. They throw stones at them. Okay, so anyway, it's huge. So there she is with a bullhorn and a bright orange vest, yelling at the Caterpillar tractor driver, "You're not going to knock down this house." It was a house of a pharmacist. Caterpillar tractor ran her over. Her family is in the process of trying to sue for reparations, or at least an admission of guilt or something from the government over there. Anyway, I was struck by the whole thing, and like a lot of people were. And I had to do something, and this is what I do. So I was digging around. I found some of her emails that she'd sent home to her parents, and in one of them, she described the conditions that the people were living in over there. I think it's the most crowded place on the planet, if I remember correctly. The most crowded place on the planet. You know, 80% unemployment. It's just phenomenal. And so there she is. She's describing these conditions, and then she says, "I would rather be dancing to Pat Benatar, but until I feel like I've made some difference in these people's lives, I'm going to keep doing this work." So "I'd rather be dancing" became the through line for the song, and it goes like this. You know, I was always the one I could never stand idly by. Watch while the bullies beat up on the weaker ones. I had to do something to try, and I never gave up on people. That we could be better somehow. Morality's compass, you gave it to me, and I still follow it now. Well, I couldn't stop thinking about it. No, I couldn't get it out of my mind. pictures the stories applied to the people in the occupied Palestine. How my government makes me complicit with the political aid that they send. So I packed in my bags and I headed to Rafa to work with the ISM. And I'd rather be dancing and falling in love. But if I can just watch from a distance, and what am I made of? Mama, these people are so good to me. They treat me like a one of their own. They feed me and see to my needs. They let me sleep in their homes. And Papa, their lives are so hard. The gunshots every night, the roadblocks, the strip searches, humiliations. Papa, it just isn't right. Well, I can feel my privilege. It's there in my American face. I could wave my passport around like a flag and I would be safe in this place. For these child soldiers of Israel, they look like the boys back home. And if it wasn't for American money, they'd have to leave these people alone. And I'd rather be dancing to Pat Benatar. Oh, but somebody has to do something about it, and here we are. Tractors are coming today. They're like tanks with bulldozer blades. The name on the side says Caterpillar, and that means they're American made. Well, I am American too, and I'll be where everybody can see. So if they want to run over those houses today, they're going to have to run over me. Well, it's dangerous taking a stand, but it's dangerous running away. And sometimes you have to face up to the danger. There is just no other way. For there are such beautiful dreams I have seen in the eyes of a child. And if I can just make one little difference, then I think my life is worthwhile. And I'd rather be dancing. Instead I'm saying goodbye. We'll meet again when it's over. And I'd rather be dancing. Surely we'd all rather be. And someday we'll dance in the world that's peaceful and free. There's a hole in the air where the wind blows through. A hole in the air and it looks like you. Nobody knows where you go when you go way out there. Way out there, through a hole in the air. She had a good life. She was the pride of her hometown. And her dreams came true like dreams will do when they don't let you down. She had a true love, as true as love will be. And their lifelines were intertwined for all the world to see. Now there's a hole in the air where the wind blows through. A hole in the air and it looks like you. Nobody knows where you go when you go way out there. Way out there, through a seasons passed through window glass, and they became best friends, and the planets rolled round a great revolving wheel. Circumference of that kind of love is something to reveal. There's a hole in the air where the wind blows through, a hole in the air and it looks like you. Nobody knows where you go when you go way out there, way out there, through a hole in the air. Oh, and if I was a raindrop and I fell into the sea, you'd know where I had gone, but you would never find me. To celebrate, and we sing to tell a tale, remembering the things we bring along the crooked trail, stumbling brilliant, we unnecessary fools. The diamonds and the tears, they all look like jewels, and there's a hole in the air where the wind blows through, a hole in the air and it looks like you. Nobody knows where you go when you go way out there, way out there, through a hole in the air. A hole in the air where the wind blows through, a hole in the air and it looks like you. Nobody knows where you go when you go way out there, way out there, through a hole in the air. I have no idea what time it is. Anybody know? It's what? I thought you said 11:10. You scared me for a second there. A little after 10. Okay, I'm supposed to be wrapping it up. Let me think here. Thank you. I always enjoy playing here. I cannot imagine coming here and not enjoying myself. It's ridiculous. This is a ridiculously great place. This is my tip hat. Those are my CDs. A lot of the songs I'm doing are on CDs. I'm going to do a couple more. Yeah, sure. Okay. This is a song about bioengineering. And I suppose it's apropos for the full moon. What language is apropos? Is that French? Sounds like a perfume, doesn't it? Or a men's aftershave, cologne. I take a shower and I shave and I put on some apropos and I go out for the night. Parenthetically speaking. Oh, you're never alone, you're never alone, never alone with your clone. You're never alone, you're never alone, never alone with your clone. You can go out for the night, still stay at home. You can call yourself on the cellular phone. You don't need a mirror to see how you've grown. You're never alone with your clone. Or you can talk to yourself and it won't look weird. You can shave every day and still grow a beard. Have your duplicate personal re-engineered. You're never alone with your clone. Oh, you're never alone, you're never alone, never alone with your clone. You're never alone, you're never alone, never alone with your clone. And you can walk all the time in the other guy's shoes. You can give up your life for the cause that you choose and watch the reports on the evening news. You're never alone with your clone. Oh, it's a bifocal schizophrenic occurrence standing in for yourself on a feat of endurance. You can kill yourself, collect the insurance. You're never alone with your clone. Oh, you're never alone. You're never alone. Never alone with your clone. You're never alone. You're never alone. Never alone with your clone. can suffer the victim and be your own thief, both sides of the law. Above and beneath, you can be your own dentist and pull your own teeth. You're never alone with your clone. You can marry yourself with the laws of the law. Have sex with yourself, but don't ask me how. Immediate, instant, the future is now. You're never alone with your clone. Oh, you're never alone. You're never alone. Never alone with your clone. You're never alone. You're never alone. Never alone with your clone. Here we go. And if you cloned your own clone in multiplication, there would be no division in your population, and you could be your own united nation. You're never alone with your clone. And clone upon clone, like the fishes and bread, you could so fruitfully settle and spread until the whole wide world was identically bred. You're never alone with your clone. As above and below, in immaculate view, you would look as like God, who would look as like you, and there would be nothing that you couldn't do. You're never alone with your clone. You could write your own warning upon your own wall, a monotonous sameness, the clarion called, and you would go crazy, and so would we all. You're never alone with your clone. Oh, you're never alone, you're never alone, never alone with your clone. You're never alone, you're never alone, never alone with your clone. Okay, 2 more songs. And that's going to do it. Okay. This song is based on a story told to me by a friend. We were walking around Green Lake, and this was, I don't know, a number of years back. They were taking away the funding from the National Endowment for the Arts, right? Because of a photography exhibit that had bothered them being them, right? As usually is the case. And my friend was telling me about these things, censorship of the arts, you know. And basically the force behind the censorship was the focus on the family, people, the, you know, whatever they're called, the, you know, the silent majority, the, you know, the right-wing fundamentalists meeting in those big places and doing their stuff. So we're walking around talking about that, and one thing leads to another, and the conversation veers and goes tangential, and before you know it, he's telling me a story about these nuns that lived in a convent in the Middle Ages in Europe. And they believed that God was watching them at all times through the walls. And so they would not be naked in the eyes of God. They would not be naked in the eyes of God. It's like running down the street naked in front of your neighbors or something. They couldn't do that. So what they did was they could never be naked. They organized some sort of burlap sack thing. They put over themselves, take their clothes off under it, bathe under their sponge bath sort of thing, and then put their clothes back on, take the burlap sack off. They never, ever, as long as they were nuns in the convent, ever were naked. Because God would see them, you see. And I remember hearing this story and thinking, there we go again. This is completely crazy. Okay, you're watching through stone walls, but you're not able to watch through a habit or a burlap sack. I mean, or pajamas. I mean, you've got to be crazy. This is crazy. So, with all due respect, do being the operative word, I wrote this little song. I had a band at the time, and this is very much a band song. It has a lot of space in it, you know. But I still like it. You're naked underneath your clothes. Everybody knows. 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 Your mother had a baby. It was you. Now, what do you think your mother did do to have that little kid? She had sex with your father. That's what she did. You're naked underneath your clothes. Everybody knows. You're naked underneath your clothes. Everybody knows. Well, there's a moldy old Bible and a kingdom come, and there in the common was the bathtub nun. She'd like to get clean, but she don't know how, 'cause God might see her through the wall somehow. You're naked underneath your clothes. Everybody knows. You're naked underneath your clothes. Everybody knows. So get with it. Get real. Look in the mirror, tell me, how do you feel? You got an animal face, a flesh and bone. Do you really want to spend your life alone? You're naked underneath your clothes. Everybody knows. You're naked underneath your clothes. Everybody knows. I'm sorry, my friend, but I don't believe there ain't nothing but morality up your sleeve. I shudder to think, should I stick around and see just what your morality might be? You're naked underneath your clothes. Everybody knows. You're naked underneath your clothes. Everybody knows, so get with it. Get real. Look in the mirror, tell me, how do you feel? You got an animal face, a flesh and bone. Do you really want to spend your life alone? You're naked underneath your clothes. Everybody knows. You're naked underneath your clothes. Everybody knows. Yeah. Well, since we're on that subject, there's a crowd outside my window. I can hear them in the street. It's the new evangelistics in a missionary heat. Saviors of the innocent, guardians of right. It's the day before tomorrow, in the middle of the night. They got shiny white faces, sing a faraway song. They show you pictures of Jesus as a blue-eyed blonde, riding like a savior on a big white horse, with one hand bearing gifts and the other hand to enforce. Fundamental frenzy, fundamental range, fundamental frenzy taking us back to the Middle Ages. Yeah. Now the devil is a foreigner, and he has to be destroyed throughout this great wide world, where his demons are deployed in anybody's country, on anybody's sea. When you're exorcising evil, you invent your own morality. In the language of the prophecies, they talk about a time when they wage the final battle for the kingdoms of divine. And in the valley of the showdown, the fires will rage, and God's ferocious hand will turn the final page. Fundamental frenzy, fundamental range, fundamental frenzy taking us back to the Middle Ages. Now they're counting down the hours in the grains of sand as they reach for Armageddon with their eager little hands. And there's an idol on a nose cone, triggered to explode, and a disappearing future at the end of the glory road. Now I don't mind your religion or the cut of your clothes, but I gotta keep my eye out to where your shadow goes. You wanna meet your maker, that's your choice to choose. You wanna take me with you, I'm gonna have to refuse. Fundamental pansy, fundamental range, fundamental pansy taking us back to the Middle Ages. Okay, so this is it. And all I have to say is that they can do it in Egypt, we can do it here. That's what I'm talking about. Thanks for coming and staying and hanging out. Come gather around me, hear my sad story. I know you think you've heard someone sing it before me, but it's an old song, I had to change it. Times ain't what they used to be. As I went walking that super highway below the gray haze and sooted skyway, I was arrested for hitchhiking on the freeway. They said it don't belong to me. No, it ain't my land, and it ain't your land. Could be a rich land, but it's a poor land. 'Cause of the few that hold it in their tight grip hand, so that it don't belong to you or me. As I went walking when I was younger, and in my schooling I learned and followed by all the rulings. I never dreamed that they were only fooling. How could my teachers lie to me? But as time passed and I grew older, and the world around me got a little colder, well then a voice came calling at my shoulder, said it don't belong to you or me. No, it ain't my land, and it ain't your land. Could be a rich land, but it's a poor land. 'Cause of the few that hold it in their tight grip hands, so that it don't belong to you or me. From the boardrooms of corporations to the back roads of desperate situations, it's a confused and a disunited nation, all the way from sea to shining sea. From the urban war zones of the busted streetlights to the toxic wastelands of Nevada test sites, from the open strip mines to the clear-cut forests. Oh, it's a sad sight to see. I see the downsides, I see the layoffs, the corporate welfare, politicians' payoffs. I see the breadlines that never make the headlines, 'cause they're not so entertaining on TV. When they can reduce you to just a number, when they can knock you down and they can plow you under. And when the only thing that matters is the dollar, then you know it don't belong to you or me. No, it ain't my land, and it ain't your land. Could be a rich land, but it's a poor land for the few that hold it in their tight grip hands, so that it don't belong to you or me. Now there was a time when this song was greater, but that was then, and this is later. And there's a hole in my heart that's like a crater, and they say it's gonna be the death of me. So let's take this song back, let's take this country, take back our future. It's our duty to stand up tall so that everyone can see. Then this land will belong to you or me, and it will be mine, your land, and it will be my land. From California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters, this land will belong to you and me. Thank you very much.